Hi, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of the School Librarian Learning Network podcast. I'm Steve Tatro, often known as Dr. T Loves Books, and I love talking about all things related to school libraries. I'm an old dog who's always trying to learn new tricks. That's why in each episode of the SLLN podcast, I'll chat with a school librarian about a lesson, program, or activity they love. Hopefully, this can be a place for school librarians to get ideas and find new ways to engage with their students and staff. Speaking of which, I'd love to hear about what you and your friends are doing in your school library. Email me at drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com to tell me about what you're doing, offer feedback about the SLLN podcast, or to request a podcast sticker. As Amy Herman likes to say, being a guest on a podcast is a great way to show your admins you are engaged in meaningful professional development and leadership in the profession. So drop me a line and let's chat. That being said, the opinions and ideas shared in this podcast by myself and my guests are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. I just like to geek out about school libraries. So without further ado, let's get to this week's episode. Hey everybody, we are back and I have got a brand new friend that I'm excited to talk to tonight. I love that Quentin is coming to share because what he's sharing, holy smokes, I was taking a look at what he got for us, and it was just kind of blowing my mind that he put this together. So I'm very excited that he's here to talk to us, but I am jumping way ahead. So let me back up and say, welcome, Quentin. Why don't you tell us who you are and where you're at so folks will know who they're hearing from?
Right. My name is Quentin Taylor, and I live in Northeast Florida, just to the left side of Jacksonville. So I'm actually an elementary librarian. This is my 11th year in the library.
Nice.
And for the last 3 years, I have worked with first through fifth grade, and I'm at a Title I school, so not a lot of resources that the children themselves have, and so we're overcoming poverty and trying to help the children by learning to love reading.
I love it. And this project that you're doing absolutely is building. I mean, you can see it. Again, I'm jumping ahead. I'm gonna not jump ahead anymore. And we'll just kind of take it step by step. But you said next door to Jacksonville, and I'm just kind of curious. Have you seen the show The Good Place?
No, of the show, I've seen a couple episodes.
One of the characters is from Jacksonville, and one of the running gags through the whole series is that, Jacksonville is like the place you don't want to be in your life. So I apologize if that is an incorrect. I'm guessing that is, they're taking some license with that in this sitcom. But if you're looking for a laugh and you want to get a laugh at the expense of Jacksonville, The Good Place has some really good ones in it. So
I have to check that out.
It's great. So you said you've been in the library for 11 years. What was sort of your path into the library? How'd you end up there?
Man, I started as a fourth grade teacher, moved to fifth grade, became an instructional coach.
Wow.
Went back to fifth grade, went back to instructional coach, and thought that was where I was going to be. And then our librarian told me, I'm retiring at the end of this year. And I was like, okay, cool. She's like, I'm retiring at the end of this year. And so I just started thinking, what would it be like to be in the library? And so I had like that entire year to think about it and start studying and learning all I could about libraries, and put together a presentation when I applied for the job. And my principal said, yes, you're the librarian now. And so I took my certification test and passed it before I was interviewed, but I still had no master's degree. And at the time in Florida, we were required to have a master's degree, but I had 3 years to start working on that.
Okay.
And so the first couple of years, I was just trying to figure out the library.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me figure this out before I start figuring out college too. Well, during the third year, I started at Florida State University in their library program, and it was totally online, meant for people who are working full-time jobs. It was a great program and taught me so much about the why and the how of the library, not just let's get a book in a kid's hand. So that experience was great. Being a full-time teacher and father of 3 young children, it took me 5 years to get the master's degree. But while I was learning one class at a time, I was coming to work the next day and using what I learned, and
just
it totally
jumping right
changed
into it.
the way I ran the library. So it was a good experience.
That's awesome. I was a teacher for many, many years. I was an English teacher before I became a school librarian. And having that sort of education experience, I think, was a huge help in moving into the library. Because I know some folks, when they come to the library, they're coming from it either fresh and they've never been in a school, or, they're coming from maybe some different places. But working in the library while you're doing your program must have been really rewarding and just so, like you're saying, so helpful that you take the class on Monday and walk in on Tuesday with like, okay, let's try this out.
It's like a 5-year-long internship, that I was getting paid for. So it was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Huh. Well, so you had mentioned that you're a Title I school and that reading culture is really something that you're working on in your school. And I'm kind of curious, before we get into the specifics of what you're going to share with us, what was sort of like the background? Like, how did you come to decide this was something that needed to happen in your school?
In 2024, last school year, I was able to attend our Florida Library Conference, FAME.
Mm-hmm.
So the Florida Association for Media and Education. And that was the first time I'd ever been able to do that. And it seemed like I did a day-long workshop there on improving the culture of reading. And it seemed like all the sessions I went to, all were talking about culture of reading. And in that, especially the day-long course that we took, it had you really think and examine your school. And so what was the reading culture? And I have my notebook still from the time, and it says there is none. No visible culture. And we're a brand new school. We're a brand new building, and the library is in the front of the school. You walk out the office, there's the library.
Nice.
And it's amazing. I feel like I work in an amusement park sometimes. It's just a dream library. But I started noticing that once you get past the library into the hallway, you see nothing about reading anymore.
Yeah.
And so I finished the conference with that frame of mind, like, what can I take? What can I do? And then get back to school, and then Thanksgiving happens, and I tell my admin, we need to talk. I want to show you what I've learned and what I want to do, because I came back with plans and dreams. Yeah. And finally, like the first week of December, they're like, okay, we can sit down and talk this Friday. And so that Friday came, and I sat down with the principals and like our leadership team, which was the guidance counselor and the instructional coach. We were all in the room together, and we were talking, and what if we do this and you do this? And okay, well, we can figure all this out. The hitch in that was the day before, the superintendent announced he was going to switch admin in January, which is normally a summer thing when administrators get replaced. But he had just been elected, and he looked at the schools and looked at the needs and the strengths of the admins. He's like, we need to shuffle some stuff to put people where they can be used best. And so we had come up with a kind of like a game plan of how we wanted to go, knowing that in January, a new principal might squash it all.
Gotcha.
Or come in with her own plans.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had kind of talked in that meeting. One of I think the guidance counselor, Miss Sweat, she give her a little shout out. She said, my child loves to watch YouTube videos and really loves unboxing videos where like they get a package and come on, everybody out, let's see what we got. And they open the package together and they're surprised. And she said, if you can make some kind of video, that would probably be good because these kids love YouTube. I'm like, unboxing video? I got you. Okay. And that started the turning. And we had one more week of school before Christmas. So we started Read Out of the Box. That's the program. It started the week before Christmas. I told the teachers, this is what I want to do. I want you to come on camera, meet a book. You're going to unbox this book. You don't get to choose it. I'll choose one for you based on what you tell me you like to read, how much time you're available to read, how long of a book you want to read, just a few questions like that. I'll pick a book for you. Then you're going to commit to go read it, like over Christmas break or something, and then come back and do our book review. And so that turned into an unboxing video and then a second video for the book review. And I was just like, all right, if I can get a couple of teachers, 21 teachers, 21 people on staff agreed to make these videos. I was cranking out 4 and 5 videos a day. and then trying to get them posted into a Google Classroom that all the teachers could share. And they were watching videos, and I really knew we had something when one of our ESC support teachers walked into the library by a first grader, and that first grader lit up and said, "You ran out of the box!" Like, this teacher has nothing to do with first grade, but that first grader knew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we're on to this. And so back to admin switch, January, she comes in and she sets up her plan for the school. And I'm like, can I meet with you? And so I shared the same information that I shared with the team before Christmas. And I told them in Fame this year, she came in, heard my dream, struck a match, and lit it on fire.
Huh.
Not to burn it down, but to let it grow.
That's
She
awesome.
like poured gasoline on my flame and just boom, here you go. And so from our original plan and then her dream and her thought and her support, Miss Anderson, thank you so much. It really has taken off and grown into something huge. So much so that this year in Fame conference in October, I had submitted a proposal and was accepted to go present. So
Nice.
my second conference ever, and I have the ability to be a presenter, and shared all of this. I'm thinking, nobody's going to come. They don't know this. They don't know me. I walked into the room. There's people in the room waiting already, which makes you feel good.
Yeah.
The room starts to fill up. There's over 40 librarians from all over the state of Florida listening,
Nice.
and all they knew was read out of the box. There wasn't much more of a description on the pamphlet than just read out of the box. It got their attention. And
it's a great title, I got to tell you.
Well, thank you. Because like we're going to think out of the box, and then we're going to get an unboxing book. So it all just like melded together. So read out of the box.
Yeah.
And then after watching the teachers make the videos, children started coming into the library saying, when can we read out of the box? And so I'm like, okay, not really sure about videoing children. So how can I make this happen? So I set up a tree display. It's got 4 sides on it. And I got big shoe boxes and boot boxes and spray painted them in different colors. And each different color was a different kind of book. So like blue is for the first graders. There's books in there especially for them. If you want to read a picture book, about 20 minutes worth of reading, go to the gold box. If you want a chapter book, which is, if we're an AR school, so I said 2 points and less, so we're talking 100 pages with pictures, 10 chapters at the most, So those are going to be in the black box. But if you want something bigger, you want to take a novel, in our library, that's 3 points, like Diary of the Wimpy Kid and bigger, longer books. You go to the red box. And so I'm like, I'll just keep a list of all the books that are in the box so that if somebody's searching on the catalog, we'll know that it's in the box.
Right.
I could not keep a list. We were refilling the boxes multiple times a day. And then after a couple of weeks, a little first grader came in and said, I got a book out of the box. I'm like, you did? Let me see what you got. He goes, when am I filming? I was like, I don't know. And, with all privacy and the parents like putting their kids on camera, I was like, I just don't know what to do. And so I started asking around, and we do have the little form, like, do not publish my child's likeness or anything. And I started asking, and I can film the children and share it at school because I'm allowed to use their likeness, and we could possibly put it on our school social media, not my personal, but on the school social media, so we're like, okay. And then that year ended. I filmed one student and I was like hoping to get a few more, but like it's at the end of the school year and teachers are all busy and kids are busy and it's crazy. Yeah. And so I was like, maybe next year we'll try something new. And then this school year started, and that first grader came back to me like the second week of school. When can I film? I was like, you know what, dude? We're about to do this. And so I took the same form I had for the teachers and like rewrote it into kid language.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if they don't know what information books are, real facts, so that they can understand fiction is imagination, and like what type of genre they were. So explain it so that they could go to an iPad, set up in the library, type in their name, answer 4 questions, and then they're on the waiting list.
Okay.
So I was able to get Hudson, he's the little boy, and I found a book for him. We started to film just like the teachers were, and he was nervous. I mean, he's a 2nd grader doing a great job, but there's a lot of dead air and everything. I said, "Hey, buddy, let's do this again. But what if I sit with you and we just talk?" He's like, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
And so the video that I shared at the conference, his parents gave me permission to use at the conference. It's a conversation between me and Hudson about this book. He opens the box, describes what he sees and what he thinks the book will be about. And then boy walked in the next day. I'm ready to do my review. I was like, "Yes, sir, come on." And so we were able to film that and post it and share it. Another student came in and she said, "I want to do it. I have a YouTube channel. I know how to do all this." And so she did a solo video and she was great. And I got her parents' permission to share it at the conference as well. And I shared one of the teacher videos that we had made. And the teacher in her video, she's like, "I'm scared about this because Mr. Taylor picked this. And sometimes, he can do some weird things." And so the kids all like, it's laughing about it and getting engaged. And I'm like, that is totally fine. So I was able to share those with the conference, and they're public on my YouTube channel. So like you could click on there and see those parents agreed to that. And that has continued to grow. More children are asking, more children. We have 600 kids at our school.
Okay.
Today I looked, 97 are on the waiting list. So I'm trying to knock out as many videos as I can, but between my classes I'm teaching, their classes they're learning, and when can I pull them that it's not interrupting instruction?
Yeah.
If I can get 2 or 3 videos a day, I'm doing great. So
that's amazing. Like 2 or 3 videos a day is outstanding.
Yeah, and the videos only are like a minute or 2 at the most because they're just initial impressions of the video. Of the book, I mean. And so the video's short. I kind of throw it together in iMovie with a little opening and closing and different things, like try to like put some production value on it. 97, I think, children are on the waiting list. I've got a basket of books that I've already gone through. I do try to put a lot of thought into it because if they tell me they want a fiction book that's a fantasy, and I also ask, if you get an information, what would you want it to be about? And if they tell me like food, I look for a fiction fantasy that talks about food in some way, trying to hit all the things to find something that's good for them. And respect I want a short book. Well, let me find you one, or give me a big book. I'll find you one, I'll find you that thick novel, and I've got so many kids, like 30 books, I think, already pulled, and kids come in, "When can I film?" I'm like, "What you doing for the next 2 minutes?" They're like, "Now? Okay." And so I'll go back there, set it up in my little studio in the corner of my office, turn on the lights and say, "Here's where you got to look. Here's the button to hit play and record. Go for it." And they'll just get on there and talk. And so I get to watch them and laugh and get excited with them about their book and edit it.
It's
and
so
then the
great.
next day I will post it onto my YouTube channel and send an email link to the whole school saying, "Hey, everybody, here's a video." And so sometimes it's just that teacher, that's her student. She'll show their class. I had one posted this past week, and I noticed the next day he had 5 views. They probably watched it and watched it again and watched it again, but
Sure.
I don't care,
Yeah, no. And like
that kid was a star.
Yeah.
And he got to do that. And that child told me, "Yeah, I'm finishing the library book I have, and I'm going to start reading the out of the box book. So I'm ready to do this, and then I'm going to come do my review." I'm like, "You go for it, buddy. You are amazing. That's great."
Well, there's so many things about this that I love, and the main one keeps coming up. And we haven't said it specifically, but it is obvious in everything that you've been talking about that it gives the students this sense of voice and ownership of their reading, of the library space, of the reading culture in the school. Like, it's so powerful that they are coming to you and asking, can I do this thing? Because clearly these are landing with the kids,
Yeah.
and that you've got
Yes.
a waiting list 97 deep. Incredible, absolutely incredible. 1 out of 6 kids wants to be doing a video, and that's only so far. Like, I bet you're going to get more as the year goes along. So it's so cool. I really love it. And I also love how it's a pretty low lift. Like, it's not, I've seen a couple of the videos and they're so great. Was Hudson the one that had the Inspector Lion?
Yes, Agent Lion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Agent Lion. Yeah. So great. Like, it was like you said, like a minute and a half of the here's the unboxing and what does it look like this book might be about. And I love how authentic that is. And the teacher one that you had shared as well, I loved that she was saying like, oh, we don't know what's Mr. Taylor going to give us. I can totally see the kids getting into that, but also like I love the authenticness of here is a book I've never seen, because we do that. Like as readers, as lifelong learners and lifelong readers, we don't always know what we're going to be getting when we get a book. So, you kind of check out the cover, you see what you think it's going to be about. Maybe you read the blurb. And I love seeing your students and your staff doing that as a way to sort of almost normalize or, make it clear to students, like, this is part of being a reader, is sometimes you get a book that you're not quite sure. And, you get some idea from what you think it looks
That's
like.
right.
And then you dive into it and you see if you like it or not. And, just clearly people are enjoying doing the videos, and that means that they're enjoying doing the reading, which is just amazing. Like, props to you, huge kudos, because that is such a great way to hook the kids in. It's really wonderful.
Well, thank you. That was Read Out of the Box is huge and still ongoing. And it was just the tip of the spear last year. So we started several other things. Like I said, attending in November of 2024, I had heard about Donald Miller's 40 book challenge in years past and maybe in library school, but in one of these classes, they mentioned doing the 40 book challenge. And so I started researching, what is this about? What can I do? And I'm like, I'll be starting in January. I can't do 40 books from January to May. I'm like, I can do 20.
Sure.
And so I looked at like the categories that she used. Her library was genreified. Mine is not. And I'm like, okay, well, her categories don't fit for me. And so I just started thinking, my library, what do we have? Yeah. And so I started putting different categories that, like, my information books, or we have every reader. That's our picture books. We have a graphic novel section. We have a biography section. And so I'm like, I want them to read around the library because, everybody loves Dogman, but I have 10,500 other books.
Yeah.
So they deserve some love too. And so doing the 20 book challenge, it really took off, and a lot of kids were really interested about it. And I was like, okay, I like this. And kids started asking, what do we get? If we finish the challenge, what do we get? And I promise you, my answer to them was this: you got to read 20 books that you never would have picked and find hopefully 20 new friends in those pages.
Absolutely.
Their answer was, okay. I was like, did they just agree to this? I don't have to buy prizes? Okay. Which the whole point is not to complete the challenge. The whole point is to try something new.
Right.
And
absolutely.
so I don't care if you only get one book on there. I do remember a 4th grader last year. She reads all the time, but because I had chapter book on there, she normally reads novels. She found the I Survived series.
Okay.
And she said, I never would have picked this up if it wasn't on your 20 book challenge. And it was my favorite book I have ever read. And even today, she came into the library as a 5th grader looking for 2 copies of the same book that she and her teacher can read together.
Nice.
From that series. So I'm like, all right, okay, this is building new habits and new learning and stuff. So we finished the year last year. And then I think the first week of school this year, a teacher in 2nd grade came to me and said, are we doing the 20 book challenge again?
Nice.
Which I had thought about it, because I even talked to some of the kids last year. it's supposed to be a 40-book challenge, but we started halfway through the year. Half of 40 is 20. I said, we're going to do a 40-book challenge next year. They're like, can we do 20
Sure.
each half of the year?
Okay.
I was like, sure. So
Yeah.
I came up with different categories, different year, different categories. And so we have biographies, like a couple of biographies on there. But in spring, after Christmas, I take off one of the biographies and add in some poetry books, because April's poetry month.
Sure.
And so I want to kind of match what's going on in the year or what's going on in their curriculum so that they can stretch around and try these different things. And so this year I even looked at like the sections of the Dewey Decimal system. Like, okay, I don't get a lot of 0 to 300s. Well, that's a book category on the 20-book challenge.
Right.
And then I get a lot of sports, but I don't get a lot of the geography. So not many in the 900s. Well, that's going to be on there after Christmas. So looking at where the shelves that aren't being touched so much, let's get kids there. Let's get them at least looking at the books on the shelf. And hey, if they find a topic that they love and they go through them, score.
Absolutely. And there's so many great things that my brain is like fizzing over with so many great things that you're doing here. Like, I love that your enthusiasm when you find something that you're like, what, this is so interesting, we should do this. And that you're just diving in. Like, some people I think worry that like, oh, well, we didn't start the year with it, so I don't know if I can start a new program in the middle of the year. I love that you're just diving in, because you have to strike while the iron's hot. You got to like try stuff out. I'm not a huge fan of the tech bros, but I do think sometimes you got to move fast and break things to figure out what does or doesn't work,
Exactly.
And I love that you're doing that. And I also love that you are taking something that somebody else did and making it work for your school, because not everybody's going to have the same situation. And you're like, you know what? 40 books was too much. We're going to do 20. And it worked great. And it worked so great that your kids want to do it twice the next year. And like, even though 40-book challenge is the same as 220s, for them, you're reframing it in a way that's going to work for them. And I love that. I absolutely love that. It's so clever.
I wanted, because we're 1st through 5th grade, and I'm like, this 20-book challenge, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, they're on their own. And so I even came up with different categories for 1st grade and 2nd grade.
Okay.
But I told the teachers, I'm like, this is more like what you read aloud to the class. So your class work together, get them to read different around the library. And the teacher who asked, she was a 2nd grade teacher. She completed the 20-book challenge last year, and she wanted to start off strong this year. And so she was the reason why I really got in there and like, what are they going to be? I got to fix it all, make something new and fresh, and let's get this done. And because of her, we were able to do different categories this year. And there's 1st and 2nd grade teachers that, they're read aloud all the time. They might not think about the 20-book challenge, but I'm like, hey, you want to try something different? Try one of these. Or like in Florida, we have the Sunshine State Young Readers Award through FAME. So that's one of the categories. Read some of the books on that list, because if you read 3 books on the list, your students can vote, because in Florida, the students are the ones who pick the winner.
Love that.
And 1st and 2nd grade, we participated in that last year. And so they got excited about, is my book going to win? For the majority, the book that we voted as a school is not the one that won in the state, but we did agree that, yes, it was still a good book that won. We're not bitter, I promise. But we really liked one other book. But, hey, The Duck Never Blinks, you're a great book. We wanted Alan Katz, Got Your Nose, but to throw out some plugs to those authors.
Okay. Love it.
So this year, we've got the new titles for that award, and they're out in the library in a special shelf and on display. And so even with that award program, we're still trying to like get a new title in your hand, whatever. I've got 4th and 5th graders wanting to read the books for the 1st and 2nd grade award. And I tell them, I'm like, that's really for the younger kids, but go ahead and read it and just bring it back tomorrow so that they can check it out too. And they're like, okay, you're not telling me no? I'm like, no, it's a book. Go read.
Yeah.
So I don't want to tell you no, even if you're wanting to read this.
Absolutely. And I love that you're using so many different ways to build reading culture. And Now, you said you started with basically no reading culture, and now clearly there is a growing pool of students and staff who are showing off their reading to each other and interacting with each other about the reading. And I absolutely love that. It's such a great thing when the students really bring that enthusiasm and energy to something like reading that maybe they haven't seen how amazing reading can be. And you are making it fun for them. You're making it accessible for them. I mean, I can even see how the 20-book challenge, you could even loop that into the read outside of the box with like, hey, we're going to do a read outside of the box that hits one of our challenges. Like, let's see what comes up next. Like, so many ways that this all fits together because it's all about, let's just enjoy the reading that we're getting to do. And, that's so great that you are promoting that with your students and that they're getting it. Like, it's really working.
Well, I will say that I have been in the hallways while classes are moving from lunch to the specials classes or to recess, and I've heard children talking about books.
Love it.
I just checked this out the other day and it was really good, or I was trying to work on the 20-book challenge and I got this, or even if it's like the kid last year, you read out of the box. So they're talking about it, which led to hashtag What You Reading Wednesday,
Nice.
which today is Wednesday when we're recording this. I take a little banner with that hashtag, What You Reading, through the hallways. And when I find a class, I get my cell phone and put it on record and say, I just put a camera in a kid's face. What you reading? And if they can tell me a title or like who or what the book is about, then I give them like one of those little silicone bracelets that say like, I love reading or books are my best friends or something. I'm like, pick one of these. And so I just 5 or 6 different kids. And then I always try to end with a teacher. Hey, teacher, what are you reading? And one teacher told me, I can't really tell the children what I'm reading, and I'm like, that's fine. I don't need to hear it. But, if you're reading to your class, tell me that book. Our class is reading. And so we even have, we bought acrylic sign holders to go by every classroom door. And so the teacher can either say what the teacher is reading, what our class is reading, or there's like one that has 3 book covers on it. Those are our reading goals, like our TBR. Okay. I'm trying to teach kids what a TBR is, a to be read list.
Yeah.
And so these are our goals. We want to read these books. I laughed yesterday as I was walking around, 3rd grade math teacher, Miss Fiegel. She had hers. We're reading chapter 4 math. So I'm like, you go on, sister, because there are word problems in there, and that is reading too.
Absolutely.
So yes, it's math, but there is reading involved because you can't go a day without reading something somewhere at some point in your life. Mm-hmm. And we might as well like it,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And usually, I'll start getting into like, how do you adapt this for different levels and for different grades? But this is something that is like every one of these things that you're doing is so individualized and so personalized for each reader. I love it because if it's reading outside the box, you're asking them like, okay, how can I sort of cater something to your taste? And it doesn't matter what level they're reading at. It doesn't matter if they're ELL. It doesn't matter. Whatever their interests are, you're going to try and find them the thing that's going to work for them. And I absolutely love that. And I mean, same thing for all of your programs that you're talking about here are all things that like are just encouraging the students to be themselves as readers. And you're really meeting them where they're at. And that's awesome.
Then I think the final 2 things that we could really talk about in my master's class work, one of the things was like a marketing class, like marketing the library. And so a project I did on there was looking at a program we've had forever in our district, family reading nights. So like once a month, we open up the library from 4 to 6 p.m. and families can come in, spend time together, read. They can take their accelerated reader quizzes to work on their goal. And really, it's just a time to be together with your family. And a great turnout might be 30 families, which 30 families is amazing. Yeah. Coming after school, coming back to the school to read. But in that marketing class, I started thinking, I've got 600 other families out there. Okay, so are we not providing what they need? And so, like I said, in our Title I district, not every family could have 2 cars. When one parent's at work, the other parent's at home with the children, they can't come back to school. And so one thing I had proposed in a project was mobile family reading. Can we go meet these people where they are and bring the library to them?
Okay.
Last week we did.
Okay.
We met with a community organization that was in one of our neighborhoods that we serve, that's in our zone of the district. And they had like this center that we could go to. And so loaded up 330 books and computers, and we were able to go, and we had like over 50 families.
Wow.
Not just from my school, but from the kindergarten school, from the middle school, from another elementary school in another zone. They were all
Nice.
coming, and we were like, read, we're good, read. So we've
Yeah.
already planned another event in the spring, not at that neighborhood, but in a separate neighborhood on the other side of the county. And I've called the elementary school that serves them and say, hey, we're going and you're coming with us. You know?
Okay.
But
yeah.
My sister is the principal of that school. So she's like, okay, sure. You know, but so we're excited about that. And then from that, talking with Miss Anderson, my principal, I'm telling you, take your idea and light it on fire and pour some gasoline on it. She said, you know, wouldn't it be cool if we had a bookmobile?
That would be cool.
So we got on the phone or the email and we contacted our transportation department, and they just happened to have a bus that they're not needing anymore and said that, yes, you can have it. And we want to rip the seats out. Yes, you can have it. And it runs great. It's just in the rotation of when it's going to be decommissioned.
Okay.
This bus is going to be decommissioned in January. And so we are actually working on supplying a bookmobile now.
That's awesome.
We can actually have a library, not just go to community centers or churches, but like pull up at a park one day, put out some signs and say, come read.
Yeah.
You know? So we want to meet the families where they are and help them just find new things, new books to love. I've even I want to buy like board games and things where a family can just get together and spend time together.
Yeah.
And that is even as great a goal as opening a book and reading it together.
Absolutely. Man, wow. You are not just reading outside of the box, you are reading outside of the library, outside of the school. Like, I love this. You are just bringing reading everywhere and bringing, you know, the connections that come from a good library program, making them grow from inside the school out into the community. And that's amazing. That is such a, wow. Boy, you've got a lot of great stuff going on there, Quentin. I tell you.
Well, thank you.
It's amazing.
And
my brain just keeps like, wow, and then this and that. That's awesome.
I am lucky enough to have an assistant in the library, a clerk, and Miss Tammy, whenever I walk in and I just say, hey, I have an idea. She'll like groan a little bit because she knows we're about to do something, but she's like, no, what is it? And so like, that's our little joke, like, hey, I have an idea. And she's so good. She just goes with it, you know, and I go in and out between classes or whatever, and I'll come in and I'll hear her hyping up a kid. Do you want to do this, whatever, you know, and if you do this, you can try the 20 book challenge and it'll fit this category. And you've never read a book that long. Well, here, let me show you some tips of how you can get through it. So she hears me talking to the kids and she can parrot that right back to other children. And so it's like having like an extension on my arm. She just like whatever idea I have, she's up for it. And so having that support as well, it's a really, really good thing to have working every day with somebody like that.
Yeah, seriously, man. I mean, it sounds like you've got a really wonderful group of colleagues that you're working with. You've got not only your library assistant, but it sounds like your teachers are completely on board. Your principal sounds like she is just, woo, awesomeness. It's so great that you've got all those supports that are really helping to build that culture of reading, but also just get the students to understand that reading's not just a thing that we just do in literacy class for 40 minutes. Like, this is an ongoing thing. This is something that's in the halls. It's something that's outside of the school. So great that you are building this love of reading across your entire community. It's really, really amazing.
We're trying.
I think I've said amazing about 1,000 times, but it really is. I mean, it's just so great. Wow. Okay. Whew. So if folks want to, let's circle back around to Read Outside the Box, because that was sort of where we started. Yeah. If somebody wants to try Read Outside the Box, they're going to do it for the first time. Is there anything in particular that they might want to have in mind?
Well, I just thought, like, how can I video this? Mm-hmm. And so I started on an iPad or my cell phone. I downloaded a green screen app.
Okay.
And there's some that are free versions, and then like for just a couple of dollars more, you can get some like bells and whistles. I paid the $5, and so I can create in a program like Canva or whatever graphics program you use, like a slide or a background, save it as a picture on my phone. I could drop it in that app. And so, like some of the different video programs we've done, Read Out of the Box, or one called Book Bites, because some children aren't confident enough to just meet a book for the first time. So I let reluctant fifth grade readers choose a book that they would want to read for our first graders.
Okay.
So these might be struggling readers who aren't the best or most confident, but give them a book that they can find success with. And then they get to go on and make videos making a review for the younger readers, who then have this mentor, this kid they see around campus. He said I should read this book. So practice for the older kid, mentor for the younger kid. And that's another program I just slipped in there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
But so like whatever background, I have a picture of the book, and it's the kids looking at the phone, but behind them on the screen, we're all seeing what they're talking about. And then I just upload that into, I use iMovie or whatever video editing thing you have. I set up a shell, like a project, where like my opening's there. It's got the graphics, it's got the titles, whatever. And so when I just drop in a new kid's video and replace the old one, I change their name, hit share, and it's that quick. You know, in just a couple of minutes, I can download a brand new video because I did that background work setting up. Like I have one shell for the Read Out of the Box where they meet the book. I have another shell for the it's time for a review. And so it looks a little bit different when you watch the video, but I just dropped that video in there, hit share on that. And I made a decision like what I was going to save them as, what I'm going to tag the video as. So I can look back through all my videos and it looks like it's in code or something, but it'll tell me like ROTB, Read Out of the Box. SE is a student edition, what year it was, and then the kid's name. So I can always find and know where that video is and who made it. So those were some of the decisions that like logistically made it easier on the day-to-day process.
Gotcha.
Finding kids who are willing, finding kids who the first kids hopefully are kids that are enthusiastic about it and are good speakers or good personality on camera, because that can light a fire in the other children and that can be contagious and spread. So I think the ones that you saw, like if you saw the girl River, her expression, and she was so excited about the book that she was reading, and she was able to really connect with the kids watching. And so it was an excellent example as well. So
yeah, I do have to say though, Hudson, I loved Hudson's video, and Hudson was a little, maybe a little camera shy, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I was totally charmed as an adult watching that video. So I have to say,
smart little kid with a great personality and kind of like a deadpan sense of humor. So if you watch that video, that's what you see in Hudson. And, you know, that was him. It's great. So there were a couple of kids like for the different, like even with the Book Bites where the fifth grade mentor, I'm like, I want that kid to do it because he's a leader. He might sometimes get in trouble, but he's got potential to be good in his life. I'm like, I want him behind the camera or him in front of the camera. And so I might talk to some of them like, and we're teacher, who do you think could do it? And they'll give me some names. I'm like, what do you think about these people? You're like, do you think he can behave well? I'm like, I want to give him a chance. And so good, raw, honest review of some books from a kid that I never would have thought would speak to me, much less be on camera, you know? So giving them a chance to shine. So keeping all that in mind, like, even if you want to go so far as get a good representation of your population, you know, so like if you've got a lot of one minority, that the videos aren't all the majority population. Let the minority see themselves on camera as well, you know? So just different things like that, and make sure that you know the kid a little bit so that you can actually find what they may want to read, but not yet know it. So start building conversations with children, asking them what they're reading, what do you want to do? And every answer is one more piece of data in the metric to help you connect them. It's kind of like taking the book recommendations and where you're trying to sell the books to the children and putting that up on the next level, because you're listening, you're learning the kids, you know your books. I read a lot, but I read from my library. I want to be able to have those conversations with the kids.
Right.
Or I'll be walking in the hall and they'll be having a book in their hand. I'm like, oh, I just finished that one. That was so good. Have you gotten to this part yet? And they're like, no. I was like, oh, you can't wait. So getting to have those conversations, it all works in together. And like a 360 worldview of everything that you need to be able to get them into a book that they may end up loving.
Absolutely. Man, well, there's so much to think about here. So many great things. I really appreciate you coming to share them. And we have gotten to the point, and I think it's a great jumping point because we've been talking about books and book recommendations. So it's time for the book break.
Book break. Squiddy!
Yes. It can be personal, professional, for the students, for the staff, for yourself, whatever. It can be a beach read. We're coming up on Thanksgiving. Maybe it's I got my fat pants on. I need a book to help me digest. Whatever works. What's a book that you want people to have on their radar?
I think there's a few that I want to talk about.
Sure.
Kids always ask, Mr. Taylor, what's your favorite book? And, you know, librarians say it's like asking a parent who's your favorite child. You might have an answer, but it's not really right to say. You know? But I tell them, like, Gregor the Overlander by Suzanne Collins has to be my number one book, purely because I've read it 30 times.
Okay.
There's 5 books in the series, and if you don't know, she's the Hunger Games author, wrote these books many years ago. But I read book 1 as a 4th grade teacher, probably 22, 23 years ago. Loved the book. It's fantasy. There's talking animals, and they're underground, and they're like battling and going to wars. And I finished book 1 and went about my life, but for a year, this story kept playing in my head. And I'm like, the story's not over. Why did the book end? The story's not over. I did not know at the time it was going to be a series. But a couple years later, my librarian, the one who retired and I was able to take the position, she's like, didn't you like that book? I'm like, yes, ma'am. She goes, look at what's next to it. It's book 2. I'm like, are you serious? And it had been a couple years. So I'm the guy who will check out book 1 again, reread book 1. So I'm ready for book 2. And so each year that a new book came out, I would go back to the beginning and reread the entire series and then started reading them to my students. And I get super animated when I read. And if there's characters and voices, and we just go crazy with it. And so my love for the book turned into the children's love for the book. So for many years in classrooms, children were checking out Gregor the Overlander. I got other teachers involved in Gregor the Overlander. And then that led to other series. Roland Smith, author, that I actually got to meet at the FAME conference. I said, I am having a fanboy experience right now. But he had Cryptid Hunters many years ago, and he's still writing different books today. One of his books is on our Sunshine State Young Readers Award nomination list for grades 3 through 5. Got to read it, and then I got to meet him, and it was amazing. But Cryptid Hunters is a series, and that was another one. I went back and reread each book in the series as the next one came out. Other teachers started reading these to their children. This is back when I was a classroom teacher. And then
I'm remembering, like, as you're saying, like, I remember Gregor the Overlander. I've got a copy of that in my school library, and I remember it being at our book fair, like, and it being a popular one that the kids were buying copies of. And I remember Cryptid Hunters being another one that was, like, very hot on the book fair tour when it was coming through. So, but I don't think I read the first Gregor, and I don't think I read the rest of the series. I'm going to have to go back and revisit that. And I don't know if I ever got to the Cryptid Hunters. I'm going to have to think about that. But
and like Roland, he writes a lot of books about nature and wildlife because he's a wildlife biologist.
Oh, okay.
That's his career. And so that's what he knows, and that's what he puts into the books. And what kids don't like wild animals, and Cryptid Hunters, you're learning about dinosaurs and like the giant squid and all these things that we don't really know a lot about. That's what the books are. His new series is this family. Mom is a wildlife biologist. Dad is a zoo vet, and they travel around the world trying to take care of animals. And mom gets kidnapped, but the children who travel with her they're in the Amazon rainforest. They're having to like team up with natives and try to go help save mom. And oh my gosh, what's going to happen? You'll have to read it. It's The Wilds, Amazon. So
Okay.
shout out to Roland Smith. He's amazing. And then that book, it's just a fun, easy read. Michael Vey books. They're fun, easy reads. It's a boy that has electricity powers, and he finds out he's not alone, and there's this whole good versus evil thing. And I think now Richard Paul Evans, I believe, is the author. He's on like book 10. And so I've been reading these for years and getting children hooked on them. And like I have 2 teenage sons in my home. They're reading the series. My 12-year-old, he's like, I don't want to read, Dad. That's your thing. He's read 3 books in 2 weeks. So because of this, it's really great, and fun, easy to read. And even though these are like years old, I want to compare them to James Ponty's books. James Ponty's a current author writing City Spies and the Sherlock Society. They're just good, fun reads that like there's mystery, there's suspense, there's adventure. And I personally, fantasy all day long. Adventure, give me some fun, because I deal in real all day. And when I get in a book, I don't want that to happen to me. So I know like that dragon is not going to come rip the roof off of my house tonight while I sleep. I can read this book just fine. Anything fantasy, but those that I just mentioned have like made a difference in getting children connected with an author who writes a lot, because then they have a lot of material to follow.
Yeah.
It's really a good thing. And those are some that have been able to spark the love of reading in quite a few readers in my district alone.
Awesome. I love it. I mean, I love all these ways that you are helping to build that culture of reading in so many different ways, so many different levels, layers. I mean, it's great. Ogres are like onions. They've got layers. Your reading program has got layers. It's totally an ogre or an onion. I don't know which one. Amazing. Really, really amazing. And again, I thank you so much for coming to share this, sharing great ideas, sharing great titles. If folks want to find you online, where should they go looking?
I do have a Facebook. It's just Quentin Taylor, and a lot of library groups on there, elementary library groups, school library groups. And I try to like chime in and answer some stuff on there sometimes and share things. I do have an Instagram. I don't really use it yet, but I've just started it, and I'm trying to like break into Instagram. My son calls me Unc because I'm old and attached to like good things or popular things. But my Instagram is Media Man QT. So Media Man and then my initials QT. And that's also my YouTube channel, which we have just this year starting to build out. And with all the different types of videos I had, we're trying to get some of those publicly out there. So if you're able to find Media Man QT on YouTube, you can see what we've done so far.
Folks, you do want to check those out. They are great.
Thank you
awesome
so much.
Videos.
And I do have Twitter. I really just read a lot on Twitter. I don't post much, but yeah. I am Media Man is my Twitter.
All right.
Name.
Awesome. Lots of ways people can track it down, which is great because I know they're going to want to, because I have no doubt folks are going to be as enthused and inspired by these ideas as I am. So thank you again, Quentin. So glad you could be here. And hopefully we'll get to have you back sometime. We can talk some more, because I love all this awesomeness that you are bringing to the table.
That sounds great. Call me anytime. And anything that you can put in the show notes, I don't mind sharing with anybody. If they contact me, I will share whatever we've done, because if it can help kids at my school, it might be able to help kids at yours, and I want to make that happen.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you again.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the SLLN podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for the episode. They feature links to resources shared by our guest, as well as ways to keep in touch with them, and links to the book break titles. I'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback, a comment, an idea, a question, or something you want to share, you can email drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. Know a librarian with something we could learn from? Let us know. Until next time, be good, be safe, and be well.